What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Raider coming back to you with a vintage Star Wars market update. We've got a nice array of items to show you, mainly mint on card items, both graded and ungraded. Before I dig in any further, I want to say thank you to Chi Lee. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. He became my latest Patreon supporter. And my Patreon team allows me to make more and better videos. It helps pay for channel expenses, so I really appreciate you joining the ranks. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, it's patreon.com/actionfiguregrader. Let's dig right into some awesome items. We're going to start off with a point of sale display. This was available at retail. It was kind of put inside a bin where the first 12 figures were sold. And this is just the cardboard backing. You can see the little slots down here that would slide into the box. And inside that box would be 12 backs. So, wow, what an incredible piece of collecting history. I love the fact that it's got photos, production photos from the movie to use for the first 12 characters. That one sold for $811.98 plus shipping, so pretty cool to see, and it was in pretty great shape overall. Next up was a 12-inch Boba Fett. This included the box. It had been opened before, but pretty good shape overall for that box. These boxes are usually pretty tattered, and the window on that looked to be pretty well secured on there. And here's the figure. Just a really great survival piece. And that one sold for $570 plus shipping. It looks like it may be missing an accessory or two. I didn't double check it versus a complete one, but the paint on this is in pretty good shape overall. Really nice example there for the 12-inch Boba Fett. Next up was it looked like a 20, it's labeled 21 back, but this looks like the 20 back. Obi-Wan Kenobi, nice clear blister in great shape. It's got that free rocket firing Boba Fett offer. A little bit of creasing to the card, a little bit of kind of staining on the price sticker there on the front, but look how beautiful that blister and figure look inside the blister there. Just really nice piece. That one sold for 560 pounds. This was over in the UK, and that's 701 US dollars. So a really nice kind of 70s or 75 grade Obi-Wan, probably a 75. It just, that blister would probably get you an 85, and the figure would be an 85. Probably a 70 or 75 for the card back. So just a gorgeous example of an early Ben Kenobi. Next up was a really pretty 32 back A Rebel Soldier. So this is not the debut card, I believe. I believe the debut card is a 31A, but this was the 32A, and it had a beautiful clear blister. It was graded 85 by Collector Archive Services. Subscores were 85, 80, 85. It was punched, but man, what an awesome item. That one was listed for $850, best offer accepted. Just a really nice example of the Hoth Rebel Soldier. Next up was a 41 back Yoda, and here it is. And this one did have a little bit of yellowing to the blister, but the blister was in great shape overall. Just some light creasing to it. It did have a price sticker that had some litho tears, where you can see it was attempted to be taken off the card. The sticker was attempted to be taken off the card. It started to rip the litho, and that's something I always tell folks is, unless you've got a professional doing it, or unless you have a lot of experience doing it, don't try to take those stickers off yourself, because it can damage the card. And the price stickers themselves do not lower the grade unless it's been attempted to be manipulated like it has here. So I would just leave it on there personally. I think it's a nice bit of history that shows the original price tag on there. That one sold for $307 plus $10 shipping. Next up was just a card back. I wanted to show this though, because you don't really see really clean examples of just a Boba Fett card back. This is the 48C Revenge of the Jedi offer sticker. And whoever took the Boba Fett off the card, they were really careful to make sure to leave the portion of the blister that was attached to the card still attached, so it didn't cause any litho damage. So nice clean card back there, and it sold for big money, as you'd expect. $338.77 plus shipping. That's a really nice card back though, and really clean. It's just one of those high demand kind of card backs, and you can often pair these with figures now and submit them to Collector Archive Services or UKG. I have seen the occasional AFA example where they've displayed the figure in front of the card back, but the better format is with UKG and CAS. They do a great job with these loose figures displayed with the card back, and that's probably what someone's going to do with that. Next up was a really expensive one. It was awfully pretty though. This was the 48 back transition card, free Neonum offer for Princess Leia Organa in her Bespin gown. Beautiful clear blister. The weapon had come loose from the tape, but it was an unpunched card. It did have a price sticker, but wow, what a beauty. And these transition cards, as I've talked about in past videos, they continue to command big money. This was sold over in the UK for £840 at auction, 35 bids. That translates to 1,051 US dollars plus shipping. So someone paid big money for that, and it's because it's a clear blister and because it's a first 12 character, not first 12 figure. Anything, any of the main heroes on these transition cards, they're going to command big money, especially if it's a clear blister. So really nice example there for the 48 back free Neonum offer for Leia Bespin. Here was a graded 65 back A Biker Scout. Beautiful Return of the Jedi card. It was punched, and it did have just a faint yellowing to the blister, but not too bad. Oftentimes these Biker Scouts will get really, really yellowed, and this 65 back A was graded AFA 80 yellowed blister, and it sold for $535 on 19 bids plus shipping. But a really nice example of the Biker Scout. There's a lot of Biker Scout focus collectors, as you probably see on Facebook. If you guys go on Facebook, you can often see some really nice collections out there. Adam Bell is one guy that comes to mind. He's got just an incredible Biker Scout collection, so shout out to Adam there. This was a Canadian TIE Fighter pilot. This is on the Return of the Jedi card back. You can see it's got the à partir de quatre ans. So that's the French language there on the front. I don't speak French, I just pretend to, but it's got a slightly yellow blister, but the back of the card was in great shape. You can see there it's got the French language there. And these foreign Return of the Jedi card backs, they definitely command a premium, especially when they're in really great shape like this. This one is probably an 80 or 80 plus yellowed condition. That one sold for 450 Canadian dollars or 349 US dollars. I think that's a fair price given that it's a yellowed blister. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got a really nice free Emperor offer, ungraded Imperial TIE Fighter palette. The Emperor offer was on the 65 back C, I believe. I can't remember which number it is, but it is one of the 65 backs. But beautiful clear blister in fantastic condition. The weapon's still taped there to the inside of the blister. And that one sold for big money. It sold for 403 US dollars or 573 Australian dollars. I'm incorporating stuff from all over the world, folks. We got Canada, we've got Australia, we got the UK. So I try to show you guys some different items out there that have sold recently because my viewer base is all over the world now, and it's pretty cool to see that. Here was a beautiful Return of the Jedi Jawa. It was a very faint yellow to the blister, same card back as that TIE Fighter palette I just showed you, but a really nice example. The blister is just in impeccable condition, just a faint yellowing to it. It does have the Kmart sticker on there for $247, and it was punched with a very slight veining there above the hang tab. That one sold for $405, and that's about right. I've seen a few clear blister Jawas on the Return of the Jedi card back that have sold for $600 plus, so I think $405 is a very fair price given the faint shade to that blister. Next up was another yellowed blister Darth Vader. It was ungraded, but it's shown here in the collector case. Unpunched, really clean example. And which back was this? This was the 79 back. So a little bit later, right before the Power of the Force line came out, they released these 79 backs, and you can see the faint yellowing to the blister there. But wow, what an impeccable condition. Unpunched with no dings to that blister whatsoever. And again, it sold for pretty good money there. 571 Australian dollars or 402 US dollars and change plus shipping. But a really nice example of the Vader. And here was a slightly creased, this is probably 70 gradish Boba Fett, but only faint yellowing to the blister. Again, it's that same Emperor offer. A lot of these Emperor offer Return of the Jedi card backs sold this past week, but you can see all the creasing on the card. Probably a 70 grade overall, a 70, probably 80 or 85 for the blister, and then an 85 for the figure. So a really nice example. That one sold for 1,984 US dollars plus shipping. Can't forget that $10 shipping on such a nice item, but congratulations to whoever picked that up. That's a pretty fair price given what Boba Fett mint on card items have done here recently. Here was an interesting one. This was a Tusken Raider or Sand People on the Return of the Jedi card back. It was unpunched. Look at how many price stickers there were. Somebody got that for 50 cents. 50 cents. And lo and behold, this is the Hollow Cheeks Tusken Raider. And so it's really cool to see a mint on card Tusken Raider with the hollow cheeks. But keep in mind that right here, it's got some tape. So, this would be precluded from being graded by the graders unless you took that tape off. And here's a nice close-up there. You can see that little piece of tape. I don't know if that tape is holding on that blister or not. It looks like the blister is firmly attached there, and it's just that piece of tape there that's kind of on the side. So I'm guessing that whoever bought this is probably taking that piece of tape off there. But that sold for $698. $698. And we've seen some AFA really high grade, loose graded Tusken Raiders with the hollow cheeks sell for that or close to it. So to get one mint on card for the same price, even though it's ungraded and the card has got a little bit of damage to it, nothing major though, I think that's a pretty fair price. Just get that piece of tape off there. And lo and behold, at the same time, a loose graded AFA 80 hollow cheeks Tusken Raider sold. Look how beautiful this example was. Really, really nice condition. AFA 80, brand new case style. That one sold for $430. So that gives you an idea of just how much of value this mint on card was just because it's a hollow cheeks. So that one sold for $700, and then a loose graded example sells for $430. So it's not that much of a premium. It's just a slight premium of, let's call it $270 or so to get it mint on card. Me personally, I prefer to have it mint on card, but that's a really nice example of the Tusken Raider with the hollow cheeks. And same time, this one was a Droid Factory R2-D2. It was graded 75 plus. Really cool to see that three-legged R2-D2. These were only packed in with that Droid Factory box set or play set, and that one sold for $224. I think that's a fair price given that higher grade examples can approach $500 to $800 depending on how high you go up on the grade. So $224.50 for a 75 plus, I think that's a really fair deal. I'd be willing to pay that all day long. Here was another really high grade example. This was the UKG 95% Emperor. And so my guess is that someone probably pulled this out of a tape sealed baggie for that mail away Emperor and sent in the figure. The tape can often dry up and fall loose, but those figures inside the baggie are just dead mint. I've got a few examples of them still in the baggie that graded AFA 90. So a 95 with UKG. This is just a beautiful example of the Emperor. That one sold for 165 pounds or $206 US. And, it seems like, why did it sell so low given that it's a 95%? It's just because the Emperor was so plentiful. It was just produced in such big numbers that getting a high grade example for the Emperor is not that difficult. So I think that's a very fair price though, given that this has got the brand new casing style for the UKG figures. The UKG is doing a great job with these new cases. They just look fantastic. Specifically the accessories. I just think the accessory cases that they use are second to none. I would argue that they're probably number one. For the big three grading companies, UKG, AFA, and CAS, the accessory cases that UKG is using, in my opinion, are the best. And they really present nicely. Next up was another Emperor figure. This one was a gorgeous example of the box figure. And it still was in the baggie, and it still included the box. And then it also included the actual original advertisement. So it says, "Buy the troops, get the leader here." It's got some great artwork on there. It was framed in with the UKG case. It was a UKG 85%, and I expected that one to go for big money, and it did not disappoint. It sold for 360 pounds or $450 US plus shipping. But look how beautiful that presentation is. Just a really nice job by UKG on an awesome kind of unique one-of-a-kind item. I hope to see more like that. Occasionally you see UKG will do this with Spanish PBP and POC figures, where the submitter will include a Spanish PBP figure, and then alongside it, it'll have the original Spanish language advertising for the Spanish figures. So that's really cool. And that the advertising will have the POC or PBP logo on there. So be on the lookout for those, because you do see those occasionally pop up on eBay. Here was a really cool item too. This was graded by CAS, graded 85. It was just a loose graded Boba Fett, but it had a letter from Jeremy Bulloch. And so I guess somebody sent in something to Jeremy Bulloch, and it says, "Thank you very much for your letter. I'm glad you're a fan. I get many requests, and if you can send back $5 per photo, then I will include a signed photo and send it back to you, a 10 by 8 photo. So that's really cool. It's a nice piece of history, especially since Jeremy Bulloch has passed on, but it was a hand signed letter. It's just Jeremy Bulloch trying to cover some of the expenses because he gets flooded with requests for advertisement or for autographs all the time. So, but it's pretty cool to see that this is another kind of custom display, and I wanted to include this alongside the Emperor that I just showed you. But wow, what an awesome item. That sold for $480 US plus $40 shipping. But I think that's a great deal to have kind of a nice snapshot of history for some correspondence that Jeremy Bulloch sent. And this was dated July 1997, and it was signed by Jeremy Bulloch. So what an awesome, unique item. Another loose figure that I forgot to include in my first video that I wanted to make sure to show. This was an item that both I and the Blacked Out Ewoks, another fellow YouTuber, he and I were drooling over this one. This was a Spanish POC Princess Leia, first 12 Princess Leia. You can see on the UKG label it says made in Hong Kong, POC 1977. It was graded UKG 75%. And the early Spanish figures, this is about as good as you're going to get for some of these early Spanish figures. They just have really bad paint. The Spanish POC Leia was known to have very pale hands because the paint was just not that good on early Spanish figures. You can see how much overspray is on her right wrist there. It goes over onto the robe. But wow, what an awesome, unique foreign variant for the Spanish Leia. I had guesstimated, this was at auction, I guesstimated that it was going to sell for around 300 pounds, and it blew past that number. It sold for 415 pounds or 519 US dollars. But wow, I think it's worth every penny. Personally, I would have paid that, but it still went higher. It still went about 33% higher, which, you know, if you're talking to me privately, guys, and you say, hey, how much is this going to spend? How much is this going to go for? Whatever I give you as my estimate, add 25 to 30% in this current environment. It's just the nature of the beast right now that the prices that I estimate are nowhere near what the final sales price is going to be. Especially for a very rare foreign variant like this. These just do not come up. You might see 3 of these pop up a year on eBay. So congratulations to whoever picked that up. Another one that you don't see often in an 85 grade is the Luke Hoth Battle Gear. This was graded AFA 85. And I can't remember the last time I've seen a Luke Hoth in an AFA 85. And that one has the brand new case style. It sold for $350. I would have paid that all day long. It was originally listed for $450. And someone, you know, it very quickly went down to $350 and someone snapped it up. So I think that was worth every single penny because it is just near impossible to get a Luke Hoth in an 85 grade with AFA. You might get it with the UKG, but they score just a little, or CAS, but both of those companies score about a half a point lower than AFA usually does. So to get an AFA 85, I mean, that is like a unicorn. They just never come up for sale. Next up was a beautiful Return of the Jedi speeder bike vehicle. It was still in the original packaging, but it was not sealed. So it had the qualified grade, as you can see here in the zoom in of the label. As you can see where it says Q/near mint, 80%, and it's got the blue label, AFA label. That means that it's unused contents, but it's no longer factory sealed. It had never been touched on the inside. All the contents are there, but never been touched. So that will receive the qualified grade. That sold for $305 US plus shipping. I think that's a pretty fair deal because mint and sealed box, you can approach $450 or $500 pretty easily. So it sold at a slight discount at auction, 28 bids on April 25th. Next up was a beautiful unpunched Princess Leia in her Bouche disguise or Bouche disguise. Very slight yellowing, which is pretty rare. Most of these figures, most of the Bouche figures on the Return of the Jedi US cardbacks, they get really heavily yellowed. This is moderate yellowing, but it was unpunched. It had a little tiny scratch there above or near the hang tab. It had the Toys R Us sticker there, but that is a beauty of an item. It probably would grade a yellowed 80 all day long, and that sold for $216.50. That was a good deal. I would have paid that all day long. I think that was a very, very fair price for a very slightly yellowed Bouche disguise. This was a lot. This was a lot of the Power of the Force, and we got Lumat, and we got Ramba, and we have Warwick, all in varying degrees of punched or unpunched condition. But this lot, I think, sold for a great deal, $605 at auction, 19 bids. It sold on May 1st, plus $20 shipping. Great deal on 3 last 17 mint on card items. I would have paid that too. And next up was a Kenner Canada Droids R2-D2 cartoon figure. And this one wasn't as good a condition as some of the ones we've seen. It was punched, it did have a price sticker, and it did also have price sticker residue, which would probably come up, but you got to be really careful because these yellowed blisters are super brittle. But I think that that would come up all day long using a Q-tip very carefully with some letter fluid. But probably in, let's call it 75 condition. And that sold for $730. That's a fair price in my mind. We just documented one with a little bit less yellowing, no price stickers, and that was unpunched. That Washington seller always tends to have these Canadian droids figures, and that sold for $1,100 plus. So to get it for about, a little bit less than $500 less at a discount, I think that's a pretty fair price given the slight step down in condition. Finally, an Instagrammer sent me this one. He purchased this, and it was a beautiful Nikto. This is a very, very difficult one to find. It looked like it had a cracked blister, but never mind that, because this is a very, very difficult to find one. I can't remember if this is a Canadian only or Australian market only. I want to say it was only in the Australian market that this Nikto was made, but it did have quite a bit of cracking. The blister was no longer fully sealed, but even in this condition, it was listed for $1,800 and it sold for about $1,600 and change. But this is a very unique item, and mint on card in high grade, it can go for about double or even triple that price. So congratulations to that Instagrammer that picked that one up. He apparently has the full run, almost the entire full run of the Power of the Force original line, which is difficult to do. I think he said he's only missing the AT-AT driver, but like the Gamorrean Guard, he's got the Yoda, he's got Anakin and Yak Face, all mint on card for these Power of the Force figures. And let me tell you, that is an expensive run to put together. So congratulations to him on adding one to his collection. This was a nice unpunched example. It just had a cracked blister. Anyway, that's all I had for this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. Thanks so much, and I'll be back soon.